Mazda MX-5 Cup Benelux action once again here at TT Circuit Assen, here in the 8th season of the championship that sees us go to four corners of Northern Europe, and it is the first of two visits to Assen for us. It will also be the curtain closer in October, but for now it's the third meeting of the season. After this race, we'll officially be halfway through the 2026 campaign. TT Circuit Assen, the Cathedral of Speed, 4.5 kilometres of high-speed adrenaline action, 2.8 miles in old money, 18 turns, and a very different sight from the original Dutch Tourist Trophy layout that was over 25 kilometres long many decades ago. But the circuit unchanged over the last 20 years in terms of its layout. Ever familiar since 2006. Now, if you were with us yesterday, you will have seen Wouter Janssen take his fourth victory of the season, but after the race, he was given a time penalty for a jump start. As we see potential dramas here for Hankook. Seems like he's lost it on the reconnaissance laps on the way to the grid. Very unusual there for the TBD driver. But Wouter Janssen losing the victory yesterday with that 5-second time penalty, demoted from first down to fifth. So that means it is a third consecutive victory for Marcel Dekker, who now is the championship leader as a result. We'll go through more of those penalties in a bit. For now, it is Wouter Janssen, our third different pole sitter of the season, who starts on pole position, the Tachyon Motorsport driver, alongside the top rookie Christian Decline from MV Motorsports. Then our new championship leader, Marcel Dekker, alongside Delano Di Catela on the second row of the grid. Four different teams inside the top four. Leon van Versveld starts directly behind his team boss and alongside Mats van Rooyen, the top VDH Autosport driver, and then the first of the Ferry Monster Autosport drivers, Stijn Gera, Mats de Vij for second, Dekker Racing in 8th position, Rocco Coronel in 9th, and Thomas de Backer, the co-owner of TBD Racing, in 10th position. Chris Schutert alongside Sam Jongen. There were our podium finishers from yesterday in the end, alongside Javier van der Schoot and Jaden Groetians. Hankook, who we saw just now getting recovery onto the circuit, alongside Noah Maton, your new championship leader in the rookie classification. Henk Valk Jr. starts alongside his brother Luke Valk on the 9th row of the grid. Serhii Volibiv and Milano Kohan, the two DDK cars alongside Ivan Yuremenko. Sem Karsten and Thierry Glassener rounds out a 23-car field for this final race of the weekend. So Marcel Dekker was second on the road. He was promoted to first, and as a result of that is your new championship leader. Now, it was going to be Stijn Gera and Thomas de Backer, your podium, but they also took 5-second penalties as a result of track limits. So that means it was Sam Jongen on his return to the MX-5 Cup Championship, the Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland racer now in second position, and Chris Schutert picking up his second podium finish of the season for Ferry Monster Autosport. But they have a little bit of work to do from the 6th row of the grid. It was the top 10 reverse grid race yesterday, but now the grid taken from the qualifying results. Wouter Janssen, already a 3-time winner so far this season, now second in the championship. It's the first time he's lost the championship lead, and equally the car alongside him on the front row of the grid, Christian Decline, lost the rookie championship lead yesterday as well to Noah Maton. So all change in both of the classifications, but both of those drivers starting on the front row of the grid. So Wouter Janssen, we saw one from 10th position from reverse grid 10th yesterday. So what can he do from the pole position? That is the question on everyone's mind. But he'll be absolutely certain to get the start right this time. But Marcel Dekker was very hot on his tail yesterday. Delano Di Catela will be hoping for a little bit more pace. He was only 9th at the end of the race, 7th on corrected times in the end, the DDK Motorsports boss. We also saw Mats van Rooyen running incredibly well in the VDH Autosport car. The rookie driver in his first year out of karting was well inside the leading pack, yet to even finish on the podium is Mats de Vij. And he'll be going from 8th on the grid. Sorry, the Deca Racing driver, I should say, rather than the VDH car, in his second season of the championship. Once again, I have read the bio for Mats van Ruin rather than Mats de Veit. Coming up to the end of this VMAX racing event in Assen, first of 2 trips, as we say, and in a few weeks' time, these guys will be supporting the GT World Challenge Europe at Nürburgring. It's the first time we'll be on a SRO weekend since the inaugural season in 2019. The cars making their way onto the formation lap, and it is the familiar black and red Tachyon Motorsport car of Wouter Janssen that we've seen at the head of the field so often this season. That will lead them from the pole position. Joins Delano Di Catela and Stein Hira as pole sitters for this season. And it is 4 different teams inside the top 4. So I'll give you a quick rundown of the championship with Marcel Dekker, now your new championship leader on 118 points. He is 6 points clear now of Wouter Janssen after he was demoted from 1st to 5th after yesterday's race. So 6 points separating the top 2 in the standings. Delano Di Catela started to fall back a little bit now in that championship hunt after a disappointing result yesterday. In the rookie classification, Noah Maton returns to the championship lead now after his 4th class victory this season, his first since the inaugural meeting of the season in Zandvoort, where he clean swept the weekend. So 115 points for Noah Maton, also 6 clear of Christian de Klein, who had a rather disappointing result yesterday. The last car to cross the line in the end after dramas for the youngster. But he has an opportunity to make up for that as he goes from the front row of the grid in his MV Motorsport car, the black and green car. And then the familiar green nose of Marcel Dekker starting at the head of the second row of the grid. Curious to see how Delano Di Catela goes as well. Keep an eye on Noah Maton in his blue and pink TBD machine, because he is coming up from 16th on the grid, and he rose very nicely indeed from 16th to 4th yesterday. But we'll need a similarly strong performance if he wants to hang on to his rookie championship lead. Remember, an overall race winner as well back in Zandvoort, the first meeting of the season. A 2-time podium finisher this year. But since then, been struggling for pace a little bit. Certainly in Zolder and in qualifying on Friday morning. As the cars make their way through the last couple of corners, it'll be a standing start. So the pace car back into pit lane, and Wouter Janssen will lead them to the standing start grid. Janssen, the young Dutchman, the reigning MX-5 champion. A winner at the end of last year in this championship. 3-time winner already this year. 2 of them coming at Zandvoort, 1 at Zolder. So if he wins today here, he will maintain his record of winning at every round. But Marcel Dekker coming into this one on the back of 3 consecutive victories and has not finished outside of the top 2 in the last 5 races. So the championship leader, 3rd on the grid, and in very strong form indeed. As the grid is set, the green flag is waved at the back. We look towards the lights, and the second race of the weekend for the Mazda MX-5 Cup Benelux Championship is go. Wouter Janssen leads them from the pole position slot, and Christian de Klein already feeling the need to try and cover off Marcel Dekker, who cuts across the nose of the rookie class driver. So Marcel Dekker, the championship leader, up into 2nd place already, and Delano Di Catela definitely went to 3rd place and very nearly went into 2nd place as well, and very nearly contact between those 2 cars as they made their way through. Di Catela ended up having to bail out of that one, so De Klein Decline hands on to third position for now, but it is Henk Valk with a lightning start who's moved himself up into fourth position and is side by side with the DDK Motorsports boss. Is that Henk Valk in his blue? Mats van Ruin, who also has the blue trim on his VDH Autosports car. So sorry, Mats van Ruin, who moves up into third position ahead of Dikke Taylor. As they make their way down the Veenslang and into the Ruchenhoek for the first time. Very high speed chicane. This is why they call it the Cathedral of Speed, because from this moment on it's quick stuff around the rest of the lap. Dikke Taylor having to defend to the inside on Leon van Wurstveld. It's one of the second Decker Racing cars. That's a wildcard entry for this weekend. It looks like Mats de Vries also trying to show his nose in that battle as well. Now that looks like Steinhera, who's got a bit sideways coming through Mandeveen and manages to gather the car up, but has lost a handful of places there as a result of that moment. Cars making their way through Hoogerheide for the first time at speed and now heading towards the Ramshoek. Very brave stuff to go side by side through here, but pretty much everyone is in fifth position at the moment, but everybody making it safely through. And Delano Dikke Taylor continues to fall down the order, third place man in the championship, plummeting like a stone here. But it's Wouter Janssen who leads by 0.4 of a second over Marcel Dekker, the top two in the championship. Second and first at the moment. Christian Decline hanging on to third position, and Mats van Ruin going with them as we saw in race one. It's Leon van Wurstveld who leads the second train of cars. Not anymore, because Mats de Vries has gone through into the hardbox into fifth position, but Van Wurstveld trying to take that back straight away, with Thomas de Backer also spying the gap on the inside to try and go through as well. They run side by side coming into Struben, the blue TBD car of de Backer, one of the co-owners of that team with Eddie de Backer, going all the way around the outside, monstering the curve on the exit of the corner. Both of them sitting behind Van Wurstveld now. We rejoin the leaders as they make their way into the Ruchenhoek once again, and Marcel Dekker seemed to have quite a bit of momentum down the Veenslang there, with the potential opportunities to try and go through, as Thomas de Backer does go through into fifth place. So he's not only usurped de Vries, but he's also usurped of Van Wurstveld there as well, and moved himself up into fifth place, leading that second train of cars. But look at the gap that the top four have been able to pull, while these guys have been squabbling like crazy. They make their way into Debuut now, turn 9, the left-hander, and then into Mandeveen, where the circuit only gets quicker and quicker from there. Turn 10, the right-hander, cars taking a little bit of dust and grass on the inside apex of the corner as they make their way out of the Dukersloot now, through the kink at turn 12 and then into the flat-out kinks of Hoogerheide before a blast left-handed into the Ramshoek that they'll make their way into now. So Thomas de Backer, that blue and black car, leading that second train of cars in fifth position still. Now, has Marcel Dekker been able to take the lead away from Wouter Janssen there? Just saw a glimpse of them coming through the Timmer chicane. It looked like potentially side by side, but as they get to the timing line, it's Wouter Janssen back to the head of the field, and a hand signal there being shown. So is that a stay back? Let's continue to build this gap to the chasing pack and make sure it's only 4 of us going for the lead and not all 23 of us, because we've seen how much the gaps can ebb and flow as soon as you introduce a little bit of side by side. If these guys start squabbling now, you have no doubt at all that Thomas de Backer will be bringing the chasing pack onto their tails. So Janssen leads Dekker, leads Decline, leads Van Ruyen. And Mats van Ruyen in his first year out of karting, former CRG factory team driver in the FIA European Karting Championship. Has been on the rookie podium, but yet to take any class wins. And has also taken an overall podium finish as well at the last meeting of the season in Zolder. Running very nicely indeed at the moment in 4th position, staring at the back of Christian Decline, his fellow rookie class driver. It's Thomas de Backer looking a little bit more composed in 5th position now, ahead of Van Zwertveld and De Vij, and Sam Jongen as well in 8th position. Yesterday's podium finisher as Marcel Dekker with momentum here out of Dukersloot. It's side by side for the lead of the race. We saw this quite a bit yesterday. Dekker to the inside of the Ramshoek, and Janssen has to concede that one. So Marcel Dekker, the championship leader for Dekker Racing, moves up to the leader of the race, and Mats van Rooyen also fancying a run at 3rd position, opening up the door there on Christian de Klein. And you see just that little bit of side-by-side there, and Thomas de Backer has closed a 2-second lead from himself to the 4th place car, and this is now suddenly a 9-car scrap for the lead. Dekker having to go defensive into the hard box. We're still in the very early stages of this race. Incident being noted between Chris Schutert and Sam Jongen at turn 8, so that'll be at Streckenval, the right-hander out of the Ruschenhoek. We're going to see the move again for the lead. Marcel Dekker with a great run out of the Dukersloot through the kink at Hoheide, and consolidating the manoeuvre into the Ramshoek. And Christian de Klein tried to follow him through there on the inside, but Janssen wise to that one. So Dekker still leads Janssen as they make their way into Streckenval. 3 laps completed by this leading pack, but it's 9 for the lead now, and Delano Digitale seems to have dispatched of Sam Jongen. We take a look at the next trail of cars, which is being led by Chris Schutert at the moment. The Ferry Monster Autosports driver scored his first podium last time, or the first meeting of the season in Zandvoort, was in 3rd position yesterday on corrected times. Leaders making their way through Hogeheide once again. This is where we saw the lead change hands a lap ago. And Janssen following in the wheel tracks of his championship rival for now. He's got to be aware that he's got a young, hungry driver in the form of Christian de Klein right behind him, who's eager to prove what he can do in his rookie campaign up against the 2 drivers who have been the benchmark so far this season. So Mats van Rooyen has to go defensive against Thomas de Backer there into the hard box, so nothing changes going into the first corner on this lap. No further action on that Chris Schutert incident with Sam Jongen, which is good to see. As we saw so many penalties yesterday, it was very difficult to try and keep on top of in the end. There's Noah Maton making his way through the pack. Noah Maton up into 9th position now and into the lead of that 2nd train of cars. Remember, he's come up from 16th on the grid. He'll have quite a bit of work to try and catch up to the leading pack, because it's about 4 seconds between himself and Sam Jongen at the tail end of the queue, although actually made that Delano Digitale potentially. DDK Motorsports boss retaking that place down the inside into the Ruschenhoek. The turn 6 and 7 chicane. Dekker still at the head of the field though, ahead of Janssen, but not by very much at all. So the car behind Thomas de Backer, Leon van Versveld there, just saw pulling out of the slipstream. A multiple race winner from last year is Leon van Versveld, and in fact a runner-up to Marcel Dekker in the championship, racing in the GT4 European Series with JW Race Service in a Porsche Cayman is Leon van Versveld. Just making a wildcard appearance here this weekend in a car that he knows incredibly well. Was that contact there between the top 2? There was definitely some smoke coming off of one of those cars. Wouter Janssen pulling Dekker's move on him. He goes to the inside though this time at the Ramshoek, and is Christian de Klein going to be able to take advantage of that? It draws much more of an overlap to Dekker, but he's got the wrong line into the Timmer chicane, the corner named after the great Dutch motorcycle racer, and it's Wouter Janssen at the end of lap 5 who goes back to the head of the field, but Dekker is trying to take it back again. He's to the outside of the hard box. Christian de Klein still hanging on to 3rd position. Oh, big dramas though for one of the VDH Autosports cars, and I wonder, is that Luke Valk, who's got big damage to the front right corner of his car? And there you can see some of the MX-5 bodywork that's been left on the road. But at the head of the field, Janssen leads Decker now. And it's reversal position in the championship once again, with the championship hunter ahead of the championship leader. And they're coming up to that slippery surface flag, so I would imagine that's where the debris is, because it's a change of grip or debris warning flag. It's got multiple meanings, really. And oh, look at that, they've struck the bodywork in the middle of the Hankook. Now, Wouter Janssen ended up having to go across the chicane there, I think trying to avoid it first of all, and then someone clattered into it. Now, hopefully that hasn't caused too much damage. Should have hit it fairly square on at the front and not done any damage to the suspension component. But look at Thomas de Backer. He's joined the party now and is up into third position ahead of Christian de Klein, the TBD Racing co-owner. Had closed down the gap to the leading group. Now going for second position there on Wouter Janssen as Decker has retaken the lead of the race and going after his fellow team boss now. Side by side between Janssen and Backer, though, and de Backer goes through into second place on the exit of the Duca Salute. Janssen is going to try and take it back. Again, more debris being struck there as de Backer now goes into the lead of the race with so much momentum coming through the Hankook. And Thomas de Backer leads once again. 10th on the grid, that man started. He was on reverse grid pole yesterday as Decker cuts across the chicane, even takes a little bit of the gravel as well. But Decker comes out in second place there, as Leon van Versveld tries to find his way through. And one of the cars taking grass down the start-finish straight, trying to find some space. But van Versveld up into fourth position now, trying to take third position away from Wouter Janssen through this sequence of tightening right-handers that opens up the lap here. Really the slow section before we get into the meat of the lap. And van Versveld up into third position ahead of Wouter Janssen into Struben. Christian de Klein trying to find a way through in his black and green machine just behind. Still the lead rookie class driver is Christian de Klein. But it's Thomas de Backer who now leads, and van Versveld really hucking the right-hand side of the Veenslang coming into the Hankook. On slightly wide moment there for Wouter Janssen. That is going to give Christian de Klein some impetus to try and find his way through. Is Decker now going to come under pressure from one of his customer cars? Because it's Decker Racing Cars 2 and 3 at the moment. Well, dramas at turn 7. Now, was that Wouter Janssen? Yes, it was. So Wouter Janssen, I don't know if there was contact there with Christian de Klein, but a spin for the pole-sitting car, the car that's second in the championship. Through the gravel he's gone at the Hankook. That is Wouter Janssen well out of contention now, I would surmise. After spin and contact and dramas for Chris Shooter as well. The 26 Ferry Monster Autosport car with big damage to the rear of his car. Now, was running in 12th position was Chris Shooter, but we've lost a pretty significant championship player in this race. We'll wait to see where Wouter Janssen has fallen down to in the order. But it's Thomas de Backer who leads after 7 laps of racing. For how much longer? Because Marcel Decker now goes through into the lead of the race into the Harbotch. We're barely even at the half race distance yet. So much has happened in the first part of this race. And there's going to be some lap traffic involved here. It's one of the slower moving cars at the head of the, just in front of the leaders there. Wouter Janssen all the way down in 14th place though after that spin and contact into the gravel. Close moment here for the leaders. They round up some of the lap traffic that I think wisely takes to the escape road on the exit of Struben so as not to interfere with the lead battle. Decker leads them down the Veenslang once again. Thomas de Backer in second and Leon van Versveld in third position ahead of Christian de Klein. And still Mats van Rooyen in second place. The two rookie class drivers line astern there in 4th and 5th position. But now Van Versveld going for second place on the inside of Streckenval. And with the run into Debut, is he going to be able to take third position through the left-hander? Certainly trying to. So hangs on to that place for now ahead of Christian de Klein. was second place he was going for on Thomas de Backer. And that's actually opened up the gap a little bit between those two cars. See Christian de Klein practically pushing Van Versveld through the Dukersloot. So leaders make their way through the Ramshoek. Decker with barely a car length over Thomas de Backer. 5 absolutely nose to tail for the lead. Under braking for the Timmer chicane. Still Decker who leads them. But Christian de Klein taking a slightly narrower line through the chicane in his pursuit of third position, and also to try and keep Mats Van Rooyen at bay. And Van Rooyen going for a big dive on the inside of the hard block. The two Ricky class drivers side by side, door handle to door handle through the first corner and into Matic. Now it's the inside line for the VDH Autosports driver of Van Rooyen, who goes through into fourth position and takes the top honours in the rookie classification there. Yet to take a class victory so far this season is Van Rooyen, but this could be the race where he finally gets the monkey off his back there. So Christian de Klein started on the front row of the grid, now down to 5th position and falling into the clutches of Mats de Vij. Top 3 into the Ruschenhoek. Still Decker leading. But Marcel Decker under investigation for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. Now, where could that have been, I wonder? We saw cars take a bit of a liberty going through the Ruschenhoek where there was that debris there, or I wonder if it's for potentially cutting the chicane. Either way, the race leader, the championship leader, under investigation at the moment. Noah Maton with a 5-second time penalty as well for track limits infringements. Going to be quite a few of those coming through, I would suspect. Noah Maton up to 9th position at the moment. Thomas de Backer making a move for the lead once again through Hoge Hyde, even taking a little bit of the grass through the left-hander. They make their way through the Ramshoek. Wide goes Decker, though, a little bit of a swapper as he made his way onto the curbing, but just about manages to hold on to the car. Sideways again through the Timmer chicane, but into second place still as Thomas de Backer retakes over at the head of the field. 12 minutes to go in this race. It's de Backer back into the lead, but Decker is coming on the outside. Not able to do anything into the hard box, but does manage to hold on to second place. Oh, is there enough of a gap there for Decker? Yes, there was. Even if there wasn't, he forced his way through. And now into Magic and into the Usenbrook. And is that going to open up the door for Van Versveld? Very nearly. Sideways is the multiple race winner going into Struben. He's on the outside line against de Backer. And on the exit of the corner, is he going to have the momentum there? Squares the car up very nicely and down the Beanslang. Of course, he'll have the inside line as well. Contact further behind them as well. Down the straight. Oh, de Backer even onto the grass there, trying to find a gap on the inside, but there isn't one there. So it's Decker back up into the lead, and his customer car, Leon Van Versveld, up into second place as well. That's going to be very handy for Marcel Decker. Although Leon there looked like he's going to try and challenge for the lead, potentially. Well, of course, Marcel Decker, his championship rival, is outside of the top 10. Still in 14th position is Wouter Janssen. And so Decker can afford to play for a little bit if he really, really wanted to, of course. Just under 11 minutes to go in this race. Warning flag it is going to Marcel Decker and Wouter Janssen. Just a driving standards warning flag for that incident earlier on. So Decker's got away with it. He leads them into the Ramshoek once again, ahead of the sister Decker racing car of Leon Van Versveld, with the TBD Racing boss Thomas de Backer in third position. 10 laps completed by the race leader. And oh no, Leon Van Versveld with a car in his rear. Thomas de Backer into the back of the second place car. And that sent him way, 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 way off the circuit. He's going to be down in about 10th position now. Meanwhile, dramas for Ivan Yaremko in one of the DDK Motorsports cars. Christian Decline coming to the inside for 3rd position. Thomas de Backer up into 2nd place after that contact with Van Versbelt. It's all go once again here. Down the Veenslang, and Marcel Dekker with a very nice lead now after all that drama. Over Dekker in 2nd place. Let's take a look at it again. So, this is the Yaremko incident. He's got some sort of problem on that car because, yeah, front right was locking quite a lot. And De Backer into the back of Van Versveld, who did very well not to slam into the rear of his team boss there. But you can see he goes wide and falls all the way down to about 10th position as a result of that. So De Backer into 2nd place now, with Christian Decline into 3rd, and now back into the rookie class lead, I would surmise as well. See further down in the top 10, Delano Dicker-Taylor in that Sleep World car of Sam Young and Mats de Vij in front of him. But this is the battle for 2nd place. Thomas de Backer with Christian Decline all over him. Decline in that MV Motorsports black and green machine in 3rd position, going after one of the more experienced drivers in the field. Out of the Timmer chicane. It's now 7 for the lead as Javier van der Schutt's fallen off the back of that leading pack a little bit. And Noah Maton is right in this fight as well, in fact. They did have Sam Jongen on his inside for 6th position, and in fact went through there into the Haarbocht. So you see Decline there trying every which way to try and get around this 2nd place car. Draws a little bit of an overlap into Struben, tries to square the car up for the exit down the Veenslang, and also not open up the door for Mats de Vij. Easier said than done when racing somebody of Thomas de Backer's experience. The Belgian driver in 2nd position, co-owner of the TBD Racing with Eddie de Backer. Christian Decline racing for Michael Vicada's squad. Mats van Rooyen on the inside of Mats de Vij there into 4th position. So the VDH Autosport driver getting ahead of young Mats de Vij. Six and a bit minutes left to go in this race. It's Marcel Dekker who leads. Could well be taking a 4th consecutive victory of the season if it were to end like this. Thomas de Backer closing in once again here through Hogeheide. Lovely run once again as they come into the fastest and scariest section of the racetrack. Christian Decline right with them as well as they break once again for the Timmer chicane. Still some bodywork off the racing line, but it seems to be out of harm's way. Lap 13 now, and Dekker is really having to get his elbows out here to try and keep Thomas de Backer at bay. Little hand signal once again as de Backer tries to go around the outside of the hardbox. Did he left space on the exit of the corner? Not one bit. So Christian Decline sees an opportunity to go up the inside. He's got the tighter line through Maddock and into the Usabruken, but by the time they get to Struben, he'll be on the wrong line. So if de Backer can just hold it out here on the inside, but is Decline going to be left any space when they get to the exit? In fact, he was, so that's going to give him the run down the Veenslang. Yes, Christian Decline up into 2nd place. Lovely move there, and Mats van Rooyen is also going to try and get this move done. He's got the inside line when they get into the Ruchenhoek as well, so Thomas de Backer, if he's not careful, could lose 2 places here. He does. So from the lead earlier on, now down to 4th position for the TBD car. And now Christian Decline, the rookie driver, going to go for the lead, but he's opened up the door for Mats van Rooyen, who goes through into 2nd place into Streckenval. Lovely stuff there from Van Rooyen. Brilliant stuff, and didn't quite pay off in the end. Now, those are your top 2 in the rookie classification, don't forget. scores to be settled in that particular championship. Christian Decline trying to retake the championship lead after losing it yesterday to Noah Maton. Maton, who's currently running in third position. So this wouldn't give him the championship lead back if it were to stay like this, but it would bring down the gap to just 1 point between Maton and Decline in that rookie classification. Incident between Marcel Decker and Christian Decline has been noted at turn 2. Not sure we necessarily saw that one. 4 minutes to go, so probably 3 laps. As it's side by side for second, Mats van Rooyen to the inside of the hard box. Second place and the rookie lead up for grabs here, and van Rooyen goes through. As Sam Jongen tries to make a move on Thomas de Backer as well. Now that didn't, yes it did, yeah, goes through into fourth position, does Sam Jongen on his return to the championship. Announced his retirement from the end of full-time racing, the 2023 champion. Not Sam Jongen, sorry, the 23 champion who's now in Carrera Cup Deutschland competition and already a race winner there for Timo Bernhard's team. Side by side with De Backer now. He's going to get squeezed out and into the gravel. Just about manages to gather the car up and hang on to the place. It does not let Delano Di Catela to go through as well, who's come back up through the order into 6th position. So De Backer hanging on to that 4th place spot ahead of Sam Jongen, ahead of Di Catela. This is where you've got to start thinking about making sure you're in that lead pack and choosing when you're going to be playing your card at the right time to make sure you're in the right position for the final lap. Marcel Decker, the green-nosed car, leading Mats van Rooyen. You think about all the championships that Decker has won, so many more years of experience under his belt compared to the 2 drivers behind him. The Dutch Race Driver Academy supported driver in 2nd position and hunting for his first win, but car off in the background. Looked like Mats de Vij potentially. As we are on to the penultimate lap of the race now. Thomas de Backer going to the inside. A Christian Decline, very aggressive move into the hard box. That's the change for 3rd position. Christian Decline tries to get the undercut and monsters the curb at turn 2 to try and take 3rd position back again. The rookie class driver does manage to usurp the TBD boss there, and indeed opens up the door for Sam Jongen as well, who's going to squeeze that car to the inside. Doesn't quite work though, and Thomas de Backer standing his ground. Wide on the exit of the corner goes Sam Jongen as a result of that. As we see Mats de Vij going wide and into the gravel through the Timmer chicane. De Backer going wide through the Ruschenhoek. Christian Decline hanging on to 2nd place here. Ahead of Mats van Rooyen, who goes to the inside again at Streckenval, giving Marcel Decker a lot of reprieve at the head of the field now as Sam Jongen tries to come to the inside. He's got 3rd position there. Is he going to have 2nd place into debut? So they're going to try for it. To the inside there, to the inside again at Mandeveen this time, but Christian Decline hanging on to this one very nicely indeed. Sam Jongen mounting a very late challenge here for the podium places. So we will soon be coming up to the final lap of the race. 30 seconds left on the clock. There should be just enough time for Marcel Decker to get to the timing line. Look at Sam Jongen with great momentum here, and he's bringing Mats van Rooyen with him, so they both get around Christian Decline. And Decline having to go wide onto the curbing. He might just hang on to one of these spots here, but Sam Jongen up into 2nd place, and yes, Decline very late on the brakes and manages to hang on to 3rd position and the rookie lead. And we are just going to sneak one more lap of racing into it. 10 seconds left on the clock, and Marcel Decker leads by 1 full second over Sam Jongen. He should be clear for a 4th consecutive victory Who is going to be joining him on the podium, though? Who is going to be taking the rookie honours? They both go wide, the third and fourth place cars, Christian de Klein and Mats van Ruin, and so that is going to welcome Thomas de Backer back up into the podium places, potentially. He's trying to force de Klein out wide here. De Klein's going to try and get himself the inside line when they get to Struben, but he does not manage to do so. So Thomas de Backer now up into third position. Noah Maton in the sister DBD car, the pink trimmed machine, is going to enter this fight as well, and in fact takes second place in the rookie classification. And now potentially even go for the class win, and fourth position overall. Top two in the rookie classification now, absolutely line astern. As de Klein goes very wide through the Rushenok in his pursuit of third position. He can smell the podium place in front of him, can Christian de Klein. Is he going to overdrive himself? Well, no, it's actually Thomas de Backer who's overdriving a little bit out of Streckenval. Has he lost enough momentum for de Klein to have a run into debut? No, not quite. Now, car number 7, Noah Maton, 5-second time penalty going to him. So that is the fifth place car at the moment. He's going to drop down the order as a result of that. I think that may even well be his second penalty of the race as well. We'll have to see when the final results come out later on. Marcel Dekker, though, at the head of the field, unchallenged by Sam Ewan after making a break for it when he got the moment. But who's going to be on the third step of the podium? Can Christian de Klein just sneak this one through? He's certainly going to try with all his might. And to the outside of the timber chicane, they bang wheels, both go across the chicane. Thomas de Backer comes out on top, but it's a fourth consecutive victory for Marcel Dekker at the head of the field. The arm out of the car, the championship lead extended. Sam Jongen on the podium once again as well. And Thomas de Backer just sneaking third position ahead of Christian de Klein. Brilliant, brilliant racing here, and celebratory donuts for Marcel Dekker as he clean sweeps the racing days in Assen in the Mazda MX-5 Cup Benelux Championship. In the last 6 races, he has not finished outside of the top 2, and it's 4 wins on the bounce for the 4-time champion. Wouter Janssen across the line in 8th position in the end. Now, of course, there are some time penalties to be applied post-race, but certainly a less than ideal day for the man who started on pole position. So there'll be some damage limitation when the penalties are applied, but goodness me. Dekker doing more donuts for the fans, burning up some Hankook rubber. I hope that's not a carryover set for free practice at the next meeting of the season. What form the reigning champion is on. Marvellous stuff. Half a second at the line in the end. Sam Jongen did manage to bring that gap down. It was a second when they started the final lap. But the squabble for second place very much opened up the door there for Marcel Dekker to build a healthy advantage for that final lap, get himself away from the fight. Christian de Klein does take the rookie victory, his 3rd of the season, directly in front of Mats van Ruin and Noah Maton on the road. But I suspect Maton will lose that class podium because of the penalty, 5-second time penalty that he had in the closing stages of that race. What entertainment once again. So we'll see the battle for 3rd position on the last lap once again. See how Noah Maton loses the place behind to Mats van Ruin as well, but there you see. Banging wheels, and even the mirror being folded there after that contact, and sort of Rossi and Marquez style all those years ago, skipping through the gravel. Look at that big sideways snap there for Christian de Klein. Well held. Brilliant stuff. Once again, lots of gravel for the Marshals to clear up, but it's victory number 4 in 2026 for the reigning champion Marcel Dekker. Half a second clear of Sam Jongen, who completes a great return to the championship with 2 podium places. And Thomas de Backer in 3rd position for TBD Racing. Christian Decline takes the top rookie honours in 4th position, ahead of class rivals Mats van Ruin and Noah Maton. Delano Dicky Taylor 7th, ahead of Wouter Janssen, the car that started on pole position after contact and a spin into the gravel. In 8th position, Javier van der Schoot and Stein Hera inside the top 10. Of course, this is all with penalties still to be applied. Jaden Gruchians in 11th position, Henk Valk Jr. and Mats de Vij. With Thierry Glassener and Mialo Kohan rounding out the points-paying positions. Jack de Kock, Sam Carsten, Ivan Yaremko, Luke Valk. We saw contact and damage on his car ahead of Serhii Volobiev. And Leon van Versveld, the last car across the line in the end. But that's all from a very dramatic weekend here in Assen.